Summary of Rip Van Winkle by Washington Irving. An old gentleman from New York named Diedrich Knickerbocker tells the story of a simple, kind man named Rip Van Winkle who lives in a small town in the Catskills. Knickerbocker is interested in the histories and stories told by the children and grandchildren of Dutch settlers in New York in the early 1800s. Rip comes from a line of brave and successful military men, but he doesn't care about those things. What he really wants is to avoid his annoying wife, Dame Van Winkle, and not do what he needs to do for his home and family. Most of the day, he's not at home with his dog Wolf, where his wife can't easily reach him. He's either at the inn talking to people from the town, shooting squirrels, fishing, or helping out on farms other than his own. Dame Van Winkle is yelling after Rip one day for so long that he runs away into the woods with his gun and dog. He goes after a squirrel without paying attention high up in the Catskill Mountains and ends up taking a nap. As the day is ending and Rip is getting ready to go back down the mountain, he meets a stranger. The stranger is carrying a big keg on his back, and Rip, drawn by an unknown force, helps him carry it to the top of the mountain, where he finds strange men dressed in old clothes playing ninepins. These men are the ghosts of Hendrik Hudson and the crew of the Half Moon, but Rip doesn't know that. Rip is told to give them a drink that looks so good that he sneakily tries some himself. He then drinks too much of it and falls asleep on the mountain. Rip thinks he slept through the night when he wakes up and is afraid of what Dame Van Winkle will say about him. But it's clear pretty quickly that something strange has happened. And his beard is now a foot long. The gun next to him is old and rusty. It's hard for him to climb the mountain because his joints are stiff. He looks for the peak where he fell asleep but can't find it. Wolf is also nowhere to be found. Rip searches for Wolf for as long as he can remember and then nervously descends the mountain with the rusty gun, fearing seeing his wife again. Rip makes it back to the town, even though the path is nowhere to be found and the landscape is strange. Along the edge of the village, a group of kids that Rip doesn't know run after him and point at his haircut. Rip sees that the town has grown and more people have moved into it. Along the roads are brand new homes where strange people look out the windows. He gets lost and finds his old house. He thinks that his wife is yelling at him, but he never hears her. Also, it looks like no one has taken care of his house in a very long time because it is in bad shape. He sees a dog that looks like Wolf, but it is dirty and skinny and doesn't know Rip. When he goes to the inn to find his old friends, the Union Hotel is there instead. When Rip met the strangers at the hotel, he called himself a loyal subject of the king, but they were angry. He finds out that it's been 20 years since he climbed the mountain. It is now time for the American Revolution. Nicholas Vedder and Bram Dutcher, two of his neighbors and friends, are dead, and Derek Van Bummel is working in the new American Congress. His daughter Judith is married and has a son named Rip Van Winkle III. His son Rip Van Winkle Jr. has grown up to be just like his dad. The people of the town start to accept Rip's story about what happened on the mountain after the oldest man in town, Peter Vanderdonk, confirms and explains it. Eventually, the people of the town turn their attention back to the upcoming presidential election. When Rip goes disappearing, he moves in with his daughter and continues to live the same way he did before he went missing, except that he doesn't have to worry about his wife getting in the way of his life and can live easily and without stress.
About the author. Washington Irving was born in Manhattan and grew up there. During the first half of the 1800s, he wrote fiction, biographies, essays, history, and served as a U.S. diplomat. These two short stories made him famous, Rip Van Winkle and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Irving was born in New York and was named after General George Washington. In 1783, the Constitution had not yet been written or ratified, so Washington had not yet been chosen president. Irving first studied law before he became interested in writing about history and short stories. He became famous and important because of his writing, and he was one of the first American writers whose work was known all over the world. He lived in Europe for 17 years, mostly in Britain and Spain, and was well liked there. As time went on, he moved back to Tarrytown, New York, and lived on a farm he called Sunnyside. He left this home to be the U.S. ambassador to Spain for 4 years and then came back. He died in 1859.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.